Okay, and we're live. I am here with. I'm gonna just go with what you called yourself on your book. I've got Arlene Anderson, the author of Hard Fall, High Bounce: How Adversity and Resilience Led to Your Decade of Global Adventures and Misadventures. How was that? Was that a decent intro?
That was great. Yeah, you got every word.
Of course.
It's a lot of words.
So, was this your first book?
It's actually my third book.
Third book.
My third
Wow.
book.
Third
I
time's the
wrote a
charm.
business management book 25 years ago, and then I wrote a gourmet cookbook with 400 pages in 2014. And those were written with other people. So this is the first book that is totally mine.
Okay, I'm really interested in the cookbook. What's that one called? Is it available?
It's not available. I have it on my coffee table. We sold out of the copies that we had. It was the New Scenic Cafe, which is a popular restaurant in Minnesota.
Was it all poutine recipes? Because that's all I know about Minnesota and that
Oh,
cuisine.
it was. It's mostly American food, but also there's some Vietnamese and some Mexican and Italian, everything mixed in. There was something that I know took Iranian cotton candy and used
Interesting.
that.
Interesting.
I don't cook, but I wrote down everything that the chef did. So
Ah, friends with chefs, I see. So,
friends with chefs.
what was the inspiration behind writing this third hard fall high bounce all by yourself? What prompted you to say, you know what, I'm not taking any help here?
Well, I it's my story, so it's no one else really was there sharing it with me. So through the whole thing, but I
Really?
also I came up to about 10 years from when I quit my corporate job, and that seemed like a very good anniversary looking back at in 2012, I had a really good job at a hospital running an education department for 17 hospitals and 65 clinics. And, I knew someone else could do that job. They didn't have to have me. And I really wanted to travel, write, and teach. And when I got divorced and my mom died, those were the two people that I'd built my life around for the decade before. I thought, okay, I'm able to do what I want to now. And so I did.
Where was the first place you went when you felt free?
The first place I went was China.
Oh,
And I
wow.
had wanted to go to China for 20 years and almost got there. And then Tiananmen Square happened, and the State Department wouldn't let me go. So 19 years later, I did get to China. And I got to go as a lecturer in a business department at an international school.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I mean, I don't think you can go to China right now, at least not easily. So, I mean, good for you. Good timing on
Yeah,
that.
I'm very thankful for the year that I had there.
Was there a culture shock? Was there a learning curve for you at all, or were you pretty much just all set and prepared for your journey with that?
No, I think you always have culture shock. I had been there 3 times prior, and I was taking MBA students over internationally. So I had taken my graduate students to that college 3 times before I moved there. So I knew what China was like as a tourist, but I didn't know what China was like as someone who was living there. And that was the draw for me because there are so many mysteries you will never understand what's really going on. I like that.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's still like a power company, right? You still have to pay bills and whatnot. Like it still translates over as far as living, right? Like it's pretty much the same experience, I'd imagine.
Well, yes, you have to get, like, one of the things I learned was when I went to get a ticket to get on the subway, I stood in line and everyone kept, it seemed to me, butting in. So I was never going to get to the front of the line. And that's where you think, okay, is this whole country rude? No, I have to get curious, not angry. So I started paying attention and I realized I was putting this much space between me and the person ahead of me. Well, in China, you can't leave space. They think that's an opening. they don't know I'm even in line. So I was like, okay, I got to get right up in here. And I, of course, got my ticket and little things like that, that if you don't understand what's happening, you can make judgments that are way off.
It's really hard not to take things personally. That's for sure. I've definitely run into that of just, I mean, even just driving. I've found that most like road rage incidents are my own projections. Anytime I get mad at another driver because they cut me off, like how dare they, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely vibe with you on that. Where to next? Where after China?
Let's see. I came back, and then from China, I got the opportunity to go to Ecuador.
Oh, wow, that's a long, long flight.
That's another whole other direction here. And but one of the couples that I worked with in China bought some land in Ecuador, and it was a couple, an American couple, but the guy wasn't going to be able to go right away, so his wife asked me if I wanted to come and be with her for a couple of months while she started their company. And people don't have to ask me more than once. I'll go. And so I started going to Ecuador, and I stayed with her, and I met a lot of people, and then I met someone in dance class who invited me to come and stay with his family for the next time that I went down there. And I rented a room from them, and he said the price of $300 was my own room, my own bathroom, and the laundry and everything. And then he started asking me what I wanted at the grocery store. And I thought, well, it doesn't really matter. I can get that. But the $300 was to feed me and house me for a month at a time.
Amazing.
So, Ecuador is economically worth it for sure.
Yeah, one of my friend's parents, they went on vacation to Istanbul. They were going to go to Vegas, but then they realized how much cheaper it would be to go to Turkey. And they ended up spending like an extra 3 weeks celebrating their honeymoon in Turkey just because it was that much cheaper.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that because I'm going there in December.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to Istanbul?
I am.
It is a shame that he's not here right now because he could tell you
Yes.
all about it. He was like, he spent way too much time there,
Oh,
according to
wow.
him. Yeah. Um, so how many languages can you speak, by the way? Because you're jumping all over the place where English is not a primary language.
Well, I did not get anywhere with Mandarin, I can tell you that. I could say I don't want that and I need a taxi and, chicken, things like that.
Right.
So you just use a lot of hand gestures, but I do speak fluent Norwegian and English, and I'm trying to learn Spanish, but it's pretty terrible.
It's
I'll just terrible, muy malo. So
está bien.
I know a lot of words, palabras, muchas palabras, but
muchas palabras. No,
I can't put them
no
together.
gramático. No, yeah. What's the word for syntax?
Yeah.
¿Cómo se dice syntax?
I can't tell you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I took 2 years of Mandarin in high school, but they were split. So I took one my freshman year and then Chinese 2 my senior year. So that did not help me at all. I
Oh.
can still speak to a 3-year-old. I when I used to teach kids, I had one Chinese student and he was 2, 3 years old, but we were able to talk. It was cool.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I was taught to say ni hao xiao peng you, which is hello, little friend.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. And yeah, the only thing that's ever translated into my adult life from that is I can recognize when it's not Mandarin. I know when I'm looking at characters that are not and when they are. So
Yeah.
I guess that kind of helps in some regards because then I can find somebody who speaks Chinese, I guess.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess.
right. It's a start.
Yeah.
I'm
So
impressed.
you're in you say you're in Oak Ridge now as far as where you've established a home base, or do you
I'm in Maryville.
Maryville, right?
Yeah.
It's sorry. This whole area to me is Knoxville, but I know when you tell people that are like from Farragut or whatever, no, I'm from Farragut. So right.
Oh.
Yeah. How'd you end up here? What brought you to East Tennessee?
Well, I had been bopping around the world between China and Ecuador, and I was living in Norway the summer before I came here. And I really wanted to have one place again and have community and long-term friends. And,
Right.
You know, maybe
You
a
missed
house
that.
like an adult would have. And so I was aware of Cirrus Aviation, which is a company I had done some contractual work for, and they offered me a job in Knoxville, Alcoa. And so I accepted the position as manager of flight training technical services. I've done a lot of different kinds of jobs, but I love that company. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take a real job.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to get stable. That's kind of what I did because I've been in Knoxville a year and I never saw myself here in all of my travels. I've traveled the US. I haven't really gone abroad. The 2 times I have, I don't count it. I mean, do you count a cruise? I don't count a cruise. Yeah, exactly.
That's touristing. Yeah.
Yeah, I accidentally ended up in Mexico a couple of times, but yeah, it's really easy to do that on the West Coast. If you just ride the 5 down, there's no stop. You're just okay. Now you're in Mexico. Wow.
Suddenly.
Then but there's like a 12-hour line back in. So I guess we're pretty popular.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was weird, like I grew up in Florida, and there's a large Hispanic community in Florida. I mean, statewide, but I never learned Spanish until I moved to California. Then, I mean, everybody speaks Spanish there because
Oh,
Florida's
nice.
not on a border with anything, and so I never had the border town experience. Did you stay in any border towns abroad where there were like? Because I mean, it'd be a different country at that point too. That's
Yeah. I well, in Europe, everything is pretty tight together, and Norway and Sweden, I was going back and forth a lot, and then Denmark also, their languages are all related but different.
right.
So you can recognize what it is and a little bit of what the story is, but you can't speak it. If you speak Norwegian, you can't speak the others necessarily, but you can read it.
Was there like a lingua franca in between all the Scandinavian countries? Was there one thing everybody shared? Was there like you could bet on that this person will be able to speak this?
If they were under 50 years old, English.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
know. I know. I would be really careful to practice to say, make a phone call and say, "Could I please speak with Kan jeg få snakke med?" And then I'd say the name, and they would answer, "Yes, just a minute."
Oh, nice.
It's like, okay, they can tell that
Yeah.
everyone wants to practice their English.
But I mean, it's at least a sign of respect on your end to realize you're a guest in their house. You know what I mean? That like
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of the American way to be like, I'm going to speak English no matter where I am, and expect people
yeah.
to meet you halfway.
It's unfortunate, and you really learn about a culture when you're learning their language.
Yeah,
So,
well, what was it, Mark Twain that said he who speaks only one language doesn't speak any at all, or something like that? Yeah, I'm not a quotes
oh,
guy.
that's something that's a good one.
Yeah. So, you wrote about your Scandinavian experience though in your book, right? Was there any stories that you'd like to share from the book that kind of like stand out that might make people want to read this? Because I mean, if the title alone doesn't make you want to read it, hard fall, high bounce. I mean, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, just when people going through a hard time, and it can become great after that. Is my point. Norway, I have small stories and larger stories. So, one small story would be they have a park in Oslo that is completely statues of women,
Huh.
and I don't know that they have that anywhere else in the world. Everyday women, angels, I mean, all kinds of things. But they're one of their statues is a woman from. I'm going to show it. I don't think you can probably see it too well here, but as my cousins and I were walking past this statue, they pointed out that if you wait for a minute, it's a woman with her pants down, squatting on the ground, and she's peeing.
Yeah, it kind of looks. I mean, I didn't assume that at first, but now that you say it,
Yeah,
yeah,
if you wait for a minute, the statue will pee. Which there's no sign about it. You just have to know.
it's like Old
So-
Faithful. It's wonderful.
And then I have a lot of stories about when things went wrong. My cousin Knut put me on a bus, and I was going to another family member's house, and he says, "Nothing can go wrong. They know you're coming. I'm putting you on this bus." And something in my head, it's like, nothing can go wrong. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And of course, 10 minutes into the bus ride, a car crashes into the back of the bus. And so the driver, so everyone's getting off. I have no idea what to do, and I have no telephone. I don't know how to tell anyone anything, and people just start going in all kinds of directions. So it's really hard to tell what to do. And of course, I got rescued, and just how people in the world are out there trying to help you. You'll always find help. I have a lot of those kinds of stories where things go wrong.
I mean, that's almost like a near-death experience. Have you is it your only near-death experience?
A near death. There were times I wanted to die. I'll tell you one of these. There's a story in here about being in France, and I lived with a French family for a month, and they were, anytime I could find a French word that I could say, I tried to use it, because I was there teaching English, but they were always happy if I said something in France. So after dinner, I have a picture here of Pictionary, and there were the grandparents and the kids and the parents. Whole family was there, and someone says, "Who wants to play Pictionary?" And I know the word for "I want to play." So I very clearly announce, "Yes, I want to play," and everyone starts falling over laughing. And I didn't know why. So finally, after they regain their breath, the mother comes over, and I have the dictionary here, because there's a word that's joyer and there's a word joyeux.
Oh, goodness.
Very close, but not quite. So when they said, "Who wants to play Pictionary?" my answer was, "Yes, I want an orgasm."
Oh, wonderful.
To the whole family. And then I have a picture in my book about, I visited 4 years later, and that's me with the red face, because 4 years later they were still telling everyone this story. So
Oh, yeah, you'll never live that down. You're a part of the family now.
I
Yeah.
am never speaking French again, I can tell you that. It's just not what I'm going to do. So I have a lot of, I tried to make it fun, because, there's so many fun things that happen.
It's so dangerous to have that word being so close to the other word, but hey.
Oh, yeah. So I had to include the dictionary, because I couldn't believe it myself. I thought I knew a word, but
You're just like one linguistics class away from avoiding that, but
okay.
it's okay. I haven't read that book either.
Oh,
So like, is this because you're a musician as well?
yes.
Is this where you get a lot of your inspiration for your songs from your travels, or were you already like neck deep into being a musician at this time, and it was just like something you continued to do?
Well, I could be a musician when I was, even before I had any money. I grew up poor,
Woo.
but I grew up musical, and I always played music wherever I was. And so when I moved to Norway the first time, I formed an Irish band,
Right.
because, you can do English. And
Where else are they going to speak English in Norway? The Irish pub, of course.
That's right. That's right. So I could get work there for my band, and then make money when I was there. And I played with 2 Norwegians, and then when I went to China, I also have a story in my book about going into the music store. Happy they were open in my neighborhood, and I walked in. I didn't really think it through, and here's a young Chinese guy behind the counter. He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me. I got nothing. I realized. So I did an air guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That guitar. So he smiles, and he pulls the guitar off the wall and hands it to me, and he pulls another guitar off, and he starts playing Country Roads.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so immediately, and I can sing harmony to anything. So we play Country Roads, and then he starts playing Adele's Rolling in the Deep.
Okay.
So it's like we didn't have any language, but we could have a good time just playing.
Isn't that the beauty of music? Isn't
Oh,
it?
it sure is. And in Ecuador, I got adopted by an Ecuadorian band.
Oh.
And so we have a number of YouTube videos out there.
Oh, care to share for anybody who wants to stalk you?
Oh, well, let's see. You could probably do Arlene Anderson and Blackbird. Blackbird is the song, but it's by John Gabriel Toro is playing with me, and Ocarina, Okarina, Arlene Anderson and Ocarina.
Ah, that's a cool band.
Yeah.
Yes, it is actually. It's the first thing you will find if you look that up.
Okay.
Totally recommend that. I'm totally gonna listen to that because that's unreal. How many instruments do you play?
I play a little bit of keyboard, and I play guitar, and I play an Irish drum.
The Bodrain or which one?
Bowron.
Bowron. Wow, look at me, uncultured swine.
Oh no, people say that word in like 100 different ways. Oh, and I can play spoons. Now that I moved to Tennessee, I took up the spoons.
That was the country move, spoons.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and clogging. I can do
Clogging.
that too.
Yeah, I've noticed the Appalachian culture leans to clogging. I have a relative who clogs, and he got his daughter clogging, and they just love it. And I'm like, where?
There you go.
How?
It's good exercise.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. If you got rhythm, right? It's a great way to work your
There
way
you
into
go.
dancing. Yeah.
Hey,
So
during the pandemic, I bought a dance floor. You got to survive.
yeah. Oh yeah, the pandemic was rough. Did that affect? Where were you when the pandemic started? Because a lot of your travels sound quite recent.
Well, they were in the last 10 years, but I was in Marival during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, I wasn't able to travel. And that's partly probably why I thought about pulling out some articles and writing the book, because that was a way of traveling, even though I couldn't really do it anymore.
Yeah, time traveling almost. You
Time
know.
traveling, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is so
Reminiscing.
this was a pandemic project in a way.
In a way, yeah, at the very end of it.
Yeah. Like I mean, this book just came out. You did it earlier this year, I think.
I started it in December and it came out in July.
That's how do you do that? I mean, I've written a book and it's taken me like a year just to like get the entire story out, let alone editings and whatnot. I guess it's easier when it's your story and not something you're making up, but
Yeah.
that's
definitely.
remarkable.
Well, it could take me 10 years to write a song. Just so some of them just really have to marinate for a while, but these stories were just some fun things that I knew, and then I just pulled out the pictures to go with them. There are 63 pictures in there, so
Wow.
it's a lot of photos.
It's kind of one of the weird things about being a writer is you can write anything. Like writing music is just another form of writing. You've written cookbooks, business manuals,
Yeah.
I've kind of been in the same boat of like I had to write a policies and procedures manual for a refugee youth mentoring program.
Wow.
And I started from scratch, but I'm like, it's just like writing a song. It's just like that part of my brain of, all right, we're filling space here. It's like painting a canvas, whatever. I'm not
Yeah.
much of a painter, but it's kind of weird.
Packaging information and delivering it in a way that people can use it.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
just find multiple mediums. It's crazy. It's crazy. Do
Yeah.
you identify as a songwriter before being a musician, or what do you actually call yourself? Professional, traveler, author? I mean, you got a lot of titles. You got a lot of. Are you a doctor yet?
No, no, but I'm dating one.
Right, of course. So you got that's compliment. You got to like date the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have people smarter than you around you, right?
All right. Well, you're the sum of your 5 closest friends and all the books you read, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to know you, because I can't wait to see what you write and what you're going to be doing, and lots of years ahead of you.
I appreciate that. Please keep me in your thoughts and prayers. It's
Yeah.
one day at a time for sure.
Yep, that's how it works.
Yeah. So you also said in your book that you had a medical issue. I did not know about this. I did not know this about you. What happened? What happened to you?
In fact, that's a wonderful thing. And if you're going to have something wrong with you, what I have is really great, because no one can tell unless you tell them. And I've learned through the years to be a little more open about it, because others are struggling. And for me, I was healthy until I was 14, and then I got Crohn's disease, and it's kind of an intestinal thing. And by the time I was 16, they took out half of my body. So
Wow.
I'm hollow. And so to eliminate waste, I have to carry it's like a little plastic bag on my side. And there's, I don't know, 1.5 million people in the US like me, so I'm not that unusual. But it's unusual that I've had it almost 50 years,
This
and
not the
I've
same
been
bag. I'm
traveling the
sure you
world.
change bags every so
Oh yeah,
season.
yeah,
You don't have like a
yeah.
50-year-old bag on you.
There's a little work to this thing, and then of course when I'm traveling, I have to carry all my medical supplies. But I also had been asked to write this book by parents and patients that said, my child has this or my sister has this, and they think that life is over and they don't know what, they're all upset. And could you write your story so that they know, hey, you can still live your life, and so in some ways it was in response to those requests as well.
It's
Tell, maybe it's not a medical thing, whatever your handicap is. Well, maybe you think you can't do something, but think again, is kind of my point.
yeah, it's very underrepresented. This is a terrible story I'm going to share with you, but my friend's dad, he's one of those type A personality guys. He's a lawyer. And he was like in his mid 50s, and he's at the gym as he normally is,
Mm-hmm.
and he was on the leg press, and he blew out his I think he blew out his rectum on the leg
Ah,
press, and they had to do a quick reconstructive surgery, and he needed the colostomy bag for about 3 or 4 months. And I had never seen a man just like, so like, his ego was just non-existent at that point.
yeah,
There was one
yeah,
time we were we were just like in his dining room, and he farted, and we all just got out of the bag, and we all just kind of looked at him. Like we were like 13, 14. It was just, you could tell he was very embarrassed, but we were just trying to make him feel better about it. But I mean, it happens, and it's
yeah.
crazy. I couldn't imagine, like, part of why I traveled was I have it pretty easy, at least in the genetic department.
Good.
Like, yeah, I can travel light, but see, like, I've met people with diabetes who have to travel, and they have to be on a specific eating schedule and all that. And so,
Yeah,
like, yeah, no, I mean, God, with what you went through and just having to explain that to people, especially host families, maybe just be
yeah.
like, hey, sorry, I might need a little extra time here. Or, oh, I can't do that. Has it affected any like physical activity for you?
No, I've been snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, and I've been riding
RIP.
horses in Iceland, and I did the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, and I've been rock climbing in Norway, and rafting in Denmark, and I mean, I'm careful about making sure I have the right supplies with me,
Right.
but no, it hasn't stopped me from anything.
Right. So Everest is next on your list, right?
No, no. I like the view from the bottom of a mountain myself, actually, these days. But I've
So
I've done a lot of hiking
yeah,
too.
yeah, hiking is great. Did you hike the Alps at all?
No, but I'm going to Switzerland in 4 weeks.
Wow. So you're still traveling. You're still, despite everything, you're just like, you know what? Not out of you. It's just, even like once you try and settle down, it's still like in you, still follows you.
Yeah, this is me settling down. But
The
but the
closest.
book is written, and now I don't know. COVID, we'll just have to see what it does. But I I I asked my cousin Knut for his address in Zurich because he's in the book, and he said, well, it would be better if I brought it in person. And all he had to do was say that once, and I said, okay, I'm coming. So, so this is the picture of Knut. He's a hiker, and he found some antlers,
Wow.
and then he asked if I wanted to carry these giant antlers back to Oslo on the train. So I had to walk around with these big antlers.
Yeah. Did you feel like a poacher?
Yeah, I felt like a super tourist. Like, oh,
So, just out of curiosity, what was like, if you could recommend maybe one or two destinations to see before you die for the average non traveler or dilettante of world traveling, what places really stood out to you that you would be like, really worth seeing before you die?
um, well, I liked everywhere that I went,
Of
but
course,
if I had to pick one, I would say northern Norway.
Northern
The,
Norway. Did
the
you get to see
Lofoten Islands are just incredibly beautiful.
you get to see the lights? Where is that? Do the Northern Lights hit up there? Do you
Oh,
get some
sure,
kind of
yeah,
aurora up there?
yeah, oh yeah,
Nice.
definitely. You can go kayaking in the islands. It's nice if you hit a nice day.
Oh, right. Is it? I mean, I guess the stereotype is that it's snowing and freezing. Like, I don't know, 10 months
It's
out of the year.
cool up there. Yeah. I remember
Literally.
one day, it was 50 degrees one day and raining when they were having a parade.
Hmm.
And somebody made the comment, "Oh, vi är så heldiga med vara," and that means we're so lucky with the weather. And it was 50 degrees and raining on their parade.
Wow.
Oh, we're so lucky with the weather. Okay.
Well, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Well, just curious, has your ex-husband that is mentioned in this book, has he read this? Is he aware of this book?
I'm sure he's aware because I have a granddaughter through him, or two granddaughters, and I sent the book to my ex's son, well, my stepson, and his family, and yeah, they love the book.
Oh,
They
that's
love the
awesome.
book, and I knew that I'd be sending it to them, so I had to be very diplomatic,
Of course, of course. I mean,
as I would be anyway. But
yeah, I recently just spent the weekend in Memphis. My cousin was getting married, and my dad's stepdad is 93 years old, and he was telling me he just had his first girlfriend look him up, and they went out to dinner. And to me, that's scary. I don't want to live to 93 and have people be like, "Hey, remember me?"
be careful who you know.
I know that's way too old. I've always I'm looking at a sweet 70 because everybody I know in their 80s just sleeps all day, and that's not a life for me.
No, I know 80-year-olds going to Iceland and Antarctica. So I don't know. You got to know the right people. Apparently, keep going.
Yeah, definitely. Well, is there
Yeah.
any advice you could give from all of your travels, as far as besides the advice you've given, which is really good, of, still live your life? Because yeah,
Yeah.
despite all the things, and you really have two ways to look at it. Am I going to be miserable, or am I going to keep going?
Yeah. Yeah. A little saying that I used to teach my students, because I mean, I've taken for 5 years, I took graduate students abroad, and many of them had never traveled before or out of the country. So I'm just used to that. So a little phrase I always used was, "Don't get angry, get curious."
I like that.
Like, whenever you start feeling, and that certainly works here too, even in Tennessee, when you get angry, when you feel yourself, here it goes. Okay, I'm going to get curious. Somehow this behavior makes sense to this person, or there's something I don't understand here, or whatever. So it's just good life advice, I think.
Yeah, no, I've needed it here, especially just because it's a different Tennessee than I've ever been exposed to. And I mean, I offended somebody just by using the term redneck. I was not calling anyone a redneck. I was like, "Can you suggest me some redneck stuff to do?" And they're like, "Is everyone from here a redneck?" I'm like, this is not going to be a good talk. This is
Oh,
not going to
oh
work
dear.
out. Well,
Yeah.
I've taken enough of your time. Thank you. But before I let you go, where can people find your book? I mean, I know it's on Amazon, but where else can people find your stuff? How can people give you money? How can people support you?
Oh man. Well, anytime that I have a gig, I have my books with me too. So my
Oh,
next gig, actually, instead of having a CD, I'm going to have a book with me when I play. I'm playing at Hay Bear Cafe October 7th.
hey, I guess I'll pop
Hey.
in for that one. I love
Yeah.
seeing y'all at the Hay Bear. Are you with, let's see, are you with Lon this time, or who's?
I think not with Lon. I think it's with, I'm not real sure. I think David Easterling, and I'm not sure who else. But
Well, I know you're always around East Tennessee area. I've seen you in Knoxville. Haven't you played in Pigeon Forge, or like,
oh yeah, at the Listening Room. I've been
yeah.
playing there.
Have you
And the
played in
Townsend
Gatlinburg?
Abbey. I'm playing there November 4th, I think.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah. I love that you're still active with the gigs and the traveling, that it just works out for you like this. I mean, that's if somebody has what I want out of a life, you're definitely top 5 people I've personally met, because
Hey, that's cool.
yeah.
Retirement's good. You get to do what you want. And you know what? I saved money for a long time. I didn't start with it, that's for sure, but it all works out. It all works.
Well, thank you very much again. Hardfall High Bounce. Check it out on Amazon.com. Is it for sale anywhere else? Do you have a website?
I don't. It's on Amazon right now
Oh, man,
until I do some more work.
you do too many things to not have a website. You should get your own website.
I should.
You
I
should.
I'll
Well,
work on that.
thank you, and thank you for rescheduling with me. It's been a hectic traveling weekend myself. So
No worries. It's all good. It's all
awesome.
good.